I'd read law at university and I finished my degree the year before in July 2008 and then spent about 6 months, 7 months unemployed because I just happened to hit the jobs market at a time when there weren't any jobs around. This was just after all the banks had started to throw wobblies, and yeah, so I was unemployed for quite a long time and I was looking around. I didn't really know what to do. I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer, but unfortunately that had left me in the position where I didn't know what I did want to do. I was living in Selly Oak because this is where I'd been at university. And one day I came across an advert for, at the time, a trainee development officer at this charity down the road from my house, which seemed, 10-minute walk away, seemed like a pretty good deal. I'd always known that I wanted to do something that was more people-orientated and not just about making money. And so it seemed to have a bit of a fit for me. So I came along for my interview. I met Mohammed and Steve and Dr. Lee, I think it was, in my interview, and then here I am. So I suppose the way I've always looked at it is it fit very much for me, both in terms of the type of activity I was doing. It was quite varied. It wasn't one thing for me to do sort of mundanely day in, day out. There was lots of stuff for me to do. But moreover, I was doing something that I thought was worthwhile and meaningful, and the fact that it was just down the road was a bit of a bonus. But I've always said, I said this not long after I started, but I've always said that I didn't really choose to come to Freshwinds. I've always felt that Freshwinds chose me in that respect. Before I came, as any diligent job seeker, I'd done lots of looking on the website, and I probably didn't expect to be being interviewed by sort of the founder, president, chief executive, the vice president, and one of the other directors. Steve wasn't a director at the time, but nevertheless. So I sort of walked into the room and was a bit immediately sort of, okay, that should be fun. But no, I think my initial assessment just from the first time I met them is the level of professionalism that was there. I think is possibly, as someone who, particularly as it was probably my first job as well, but having had no previous experience of the voluntary sector, perhaps naively I expected there to be something a bit sort of, what's the best word for it? Not unprofessional, but perhaps a bit sort of fuzzy, I suppose, maybe the best word. But that, and straight away, which in some respects gave me what I wasn't necessarily completely happy with. But when I arrived, and it was certainly a very professional place to be. That was my first impression. I met sort of everyone very quickly, particularly working directly in the chief executive's department means that you do get to know everyone very quickly, because I'm not sitting in one project and doing that bit. So I met people very quickly, but I felt quite at home reasonably quickly, very welcome, and like I say, my first impression was one of being quite professional. But I think once I was here, it was a very friendly and welcoming professionalism. For most people that come to Freshwinds, it's as an environment to work in, it's very challenging, and that's simply because the work that we're doing is very important, and there's no room to be less than perfect if you're looking to make that real difference to people. Doing anything that's less than exactly what you need to do is not good enough. And so yes, people are always there. If you don't know how to do something, there is always someone you can ask. Obviously, where I work, probably the person I probably work the closest with of anyone is Mohammed. Mohammed is always someone that if I need to know something, I can ask. But that's also true of anyone else that I work with, all the directors who I work reasonably closely with, Steve and Dr. Lee and Carol. So I think principally that's it. It's a case of saying this particular thing needs doing. You're the person to do it. So crack on. But if you need anything to get that achieved, here we are, and we'll help you achieve it. It's very much a team effort, and I think that probably goes for most people. I'm an HR manager. I work for a charity in Birmingham. And what do they do? I think more often than not, my answer is, okay, well, what don't we do? Because I think really what Freshwinds is about is saying if you are someone who has a challenge that you need to overcome, we will try to find a way to help you if we can. And we might not be able to do that directly ourselves. It might be that, but we probably know who can. And so the way I've always explained it to people is we're a bit of a something for everyone, if we can be. And I think that's the best way. We don't have a group of people that we want to help more than we want to help anyone else. Everyone is a person. Everyone needs some help with something, and I include myself and everyone else that works here in that. It's just that some people are better able to do that for themselves than others. And I just see our job as if you're a person who has a need for something, if we can help you, we will. I think it's probably more difficult for an organisation like ours to know exactly what the future is going to be. If you are the Heart Foundation or cancer research, the future is cancer or the future is heart disease. So it's much more difficult for an organisation like ours. I think the one thing that I'm very confident about is that we'll always grow. And I think the next 5 years, I think the way things are shaping up are very much, we have always been a holistic organisation, and I think actually that the environment is coming around to fit with the way that we work, in an integrationist sort of a way, not having necessarily a service that does one thing for one group of people. And so I think it's almost, I dare say, if I can use the word inevitable, that Freshwinds will grow and will be important in Birmingham. It already is, and it will continue to be that way. Exactly what we'll do, who knows? And I think the answer is we could do anything. I think I was actually thinking about this morning. I thought to myself, in most cases, if someone says, if we find out that there's some funding to do a particular job, very often my thought is, well, the first thought is always who's the right person, who's the right organisation to do this work. And very often I'm left thinking, well, actually, we are the right people to do this work. And so I don't think there is a limit on what can be over the next 5 years. I think we can do anything.